Welcome to the first keynote of the Transmediale 2015, Capture All. Welcome the speakers of this event. I am Kristoffer Gansing, Artistic Director of Transmediale. I'm very happy to announce this as a rare double keynote with two very qualified speakers for the work stream of the conference. That's Judy Wajcman and Tiziana Terranova, and moderated by Carolin Gerlitz. And this year's conference program curated by Daphne Dragona and myself. Overall, it's looking at the impact of the intense quantification and associated algorithmic processes on contemporary society and culture. We have divided the core part of the conference into three streams, namely work, life, and play. These streams are here to suggest specific social and cultural reconfigurations within the Capture All idea or logic, as we call it. For example, the intensified blurring of work and leisure, methodologies like gamification, where even play or playful activities become work-like, the drives towards self-optimization, where the subject becomes a site of data collection and evaluation and optimization. And arguably, the field of work is where these developments are most felt at an everyday basis. The work stream is particularly interested in the conditions of work in an accelerated capitalism. How, for example, outsourcing seems to have reached a new stage in which work itself is being outsourced to domains not traditionally associated with work. This might sound a bit cryptic, but think about how we as smart workers are now expected to optimize our use of all of our time into possible work time, and how resources are divided on a more and more fine-grained, flexible, and technologically assisted basis. And this is not only a phenomenon in our part of the world here, it's also an emergent property of the global economy and production, new forms of automation, as well as new heights of measuring and managing effectivity that are now being reached more or less everywhere. So one question of this stream would be what kind of new forms of organizations or organization of both work and non-work may be possible today. Are there, for example, new forms of organization and the new forms of solidarity emerging across social cultural geographies where precarious work has now become the new normal? I'm sure that such questions will be possible to discuss in depth with the two speakers tonight. We're also very happy to introduce Carolin Gerlitz as the moderator of this session. Carolin is a member of the Digital Methods Initiative at the University of Amsterdam, assistant professor in New Media and Digital Culture, as well as program director of the Amsterdam University's MA in New Media and Digital Culture. Her research focus on topics such as new media and web economies. She's worked extensively with brands and their interactions with the social. She combines sociological perspectives with software studies and media theory, and has recently been granted also funds to conduct a 4-year research project called Numbering Life, Measures, Metrics in Digital Media. So please welcome her and the two keynote speakers of Capture All work.
Thanks a lot, Kristoffer, welcome again, everyone, to tonight's keynote on work with our great speakers, Judy Wajcman and Tiziana Terranova. Capture and value share an intricate relationship. What counts, Alain Badiou argues in his monograph on numbers, in the same sense of what is valued, is that which is counted. Conversely, everything that can be numbered must be valued. End quote. A growing number of actors in digital media try to value and valorize what they can count. Users know that they pay with their data when using services of Google, Facebook, Twitter, and the like. Well, at least hopefully. Platforms sell their capacity to recombine this user data to personalized advertising for companies. Companies take the number of likes, shares, and tweets they receive on their content as key performance indicators for their social media marketing campaigns. And scores like cloud allow users to turn their calculated social media influence into free products or free trust drives. And data resellers like GNIP collect, archive, resell tweets produced by users for free to researchers, and especially in the academic context. And it is the possibility to capture, sort, and recombine that allows these actors to render things like teenage chatter about Selena Gomez or us sharing pictures of funny cat videos from these kind of individual, effective, and non-comparable expressions into things that are countable and comparable, and therewith possible to be rendered into economic value. Today's keynote lectures explore the question of what counts in the context of data capture, recombination and valorization through a lens of work. How does data capture require us to revisit notions of work? But also how is data capture enabling and participating in forms of work and labor? So before moving into the specific accounts both keynote speakers can offer us on that question today, let's remind ourselves what a focus on labor actually can add to the debate. And yeah, of course, this is a difficult question I cannot answer fully, but it has to be answered differently today than 10, 15 years back when the first kind of contributions to digital labor, as Tiziana Terranova's famous piece on free labor that most of you probably have engaged with, emerged. Back then, it was easy to use the concept of labor to intervene into two celebratory accounts of digital media as being user-generated content or a mere culture of participation. Today, the notion of labor maybe allows us rather to reconnect to broader historical shifts, to allow us to make sense of why economic value, and here I'm drawing on a transmediale theme, can now potentially be extracted from everything, and productivity measurement can be applied to all aspects of life. In order for our lives to be subject to data capture, and data to be subject of economic interest, Western economies had to undergo a set of historical transitions in the post-war period, moving from economies of scale and mass production towards increasingly knowledge-intensive post-industrial forms, in which money is no longer made from mass assembly of goods, but from immaterial activities such as design, branding, marketing, finance, and the management of information. And this development came with an increasing erosion between leisure and labor time. As in post-Fordist immaterial economies, it is not only the professional, straightforwardly productive activities that contribute to value creation, but also things like personal interests, social relations, talking about Selena Gomez, sharing cat pictures, knowing knowledge and cultural capital. Or, to put it differently with Lazzarato, contemporary capitalism is about putting life to work. And it is within these conditions that what is considered to be valuable has moved into all aspects of social, cultural, and, of course, digital life. Tiziana Terranova hence talks about a society factory where work processes have shifted from the factory to society, thereby setting in motion a truly complex machine. And whereas looking at the question of capture all only through the lens of data operation and what is at stake in the valorization of clicking, linking, sharing, and tweeting, this draws our attention to the ways in which social life is disaggregated into and decontextualized into numbers on counters that can be endlessly recombined. Looking at capture, however, through the lens of work and labor focuses us on the contingency of value extraction and the continuity between social, cultural, and economic value. It allows us to explore how social life counts in the double sense of both valuation, the possibility to count it, and valorization, the production of surplus value. Our two keynote speakers this evening will draw on the concept of work to reflect about such historical contingencies in economic value production and revisit the specific conditions of what counts as value in digital economies. Our first speaker is Judy Wajcman, professor in sociology at the London School of Economics. In the last 2 decades, her work on science and technology studies, the sociology of work and employment, as well as her engagement with gender studies have contributed majorly to our understanding of socio-technical infrastructures and the technicity of work and value. In today's talk, Judy will return to historical accounts of labor and work, to then gradually explore how they have come to be informed by digital technologies. In that line of argumentation, she seeks to explore both the proliferation of what counts as labor, as well as its becoming implicit and invisible, by drawing on notions of household labor, emotional and aesthetic labor, amongst others. And she will also touch upon her most recent monograph, Pressed for Time, published just at the end of 2014, where she has explored the relation between digital technology and time, attending to a very specific paradox that digital media create both the promise of freeing us up time, while at the same time creating the impression that life gets faster and accelerated. Digital media, she argues, come with specific temporal experiences built into them that realize their potential when people adopt them. Whilst they free up some time, they also entangle users into the valuable cult of being busy, being active, having a full schedule, making them even more into data-producing entities. And in today's keynote, double keynote, Judy will present first, followed by Tiziana Terranova. Afterwards, we will engage in a discussion of some kind of key points and resemblances and questions that emerged from the two talks, before we then open up the floor to questions from the audience. And now I would like to welcome Judy to the stage.